British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has set out a raft of new policies to shore up his leadership. This after he narrowly survived a no-confidence vote. The embattled leader won the Conservative Party ballot by 211 votes to 148, enough to avoid having to step down. But is a larger-than-expected rebellion coming from within his own party? Mr. Johnson now faces the major challenge of convincing ministers that he will still be able to lead.
We're able now to draw a line under the issues that our opponents want to talk about, and we're able to get on with talking about what I think the people in this country want us to talk about, which is what we are doing to help them and to take the country forward.
And Ollie Barrett joins us live from London. Ollie, we just heard Mr. Johnson that he might want to draw a line under these issues. But if we look at how British Prime Ministers, how they've done after they have survived no confidence votes, we could assume that at best Mr. Johnson just has a breathing space right now.
That's right. When Theresa May, for example, won a confidence vote back in 2018, she also had that same rule in place via the 1922 Conservative Committee, which meant she couldn't face a similar leadership challenge in the same way for a year. But within months, she was gone. The pressure built in different ways, and in the end, she was forced to step aside. And so many Conservative MPs do believe that that fate might befall Boris Johnson as well. He's certainly under huge pressure from within and without his party, even after winning that vote, not least because so many of his own Conservative MPs have effectively expressed that they don't have confidence in him as their leader and their Prime Minister. Now, his situation is slightly different from Theresa May's in that he does have a large parliamentary majority. He's not just dealing really with a single issue like trying to get a Brexit deal through, which was so difficult for Theresa May without her parliamentary majority. And Boris Johnson will hope that something comes along in the intervening period and just sees him regain some of his standing in polls, but also in the minds of his own Conservative MPs. But many Conservative lawmakers will tell you that they don't believe Boris Johnson has long left.
Well, given that 4 in 10 of his party do not support him, could we say that despite on paper, as you mentioned, he might be safe for the next 12 months, he will not be able to do anything in the next 12 months, even if he keeps his position?
It's going to be really interesting to see exactly how many of those Conservative MPs who voted against Boris Johnson last night do similar things when it comes to legislation going through the House of Commons and the agenda of Boris Johnson's government. Are those dozens and dozens of MPs going to try and use that strength, that ability to really knock the government's agenda off course so much that Boris Johnson just looks like he can't remain in post, that his position becomes untenable? Or are some of them, having lost that vote last night, going to accept that this was a democratic process and that now the right thing to do is to give Boris Johnson some space to run his government? It's very hard to predict how all of this plays out. There's no doubt that Boris Johnson's life has just got much harder, especially with a number of key dates coming up, including at the end of June, 2 by-elections, which the Conservatives, according to the polls, are set to lose and lose both of them fairly heavily, according to the numbers that we're seeing at the moment. If that happens, expect that to be another crunch point for Boris Johnson's leadership.
Oh, thanks so much. I apologise for that slight loss in audio quality. Ollie Barrett speaking to us there from London.